You're an adult. You pay bills. You make decisions. You've probably handled genuinely difficult things in your life. And yet, the lights go out, and something happens. Maybe it's just a flicker of discomfort. Maybe you reach for your phone faster than you need to. Maybe you never actually sleep in complete darkness, and you've told yourself it's just a preference. It's not a preference. It's one of the oldest fear responses in the human brain, and it never fully switches off. Not in childhood, not in adulthood, not ever. And today, we're going to talk about why, and why that's actually not embarrassing at all. Before we go any further, let's establish something. Fear of the dark is not a childhood thing that some people failed to grow out of. Studies show that somewhere between 40 and 60% of adults report at least some anxiety in complete darkness. Some studies put it even higher. Think about that. More than half of all adults, the person who sleeps with a hallway light on, the one who checks their phone the moment they wake up at 3 a.m., not to check the time, but to produce light, the one who always faces the door. That's not weakness. That's an ancient operating system running in a modern body. And once you understand what that system was built for, everything makes sense. Here's the fact that reframes everything. For the vast majority of human history, nighttime was genuinely, objectively, statistically dangerous. Our ancestors had no artificial light. The moment the sun went down, they were in complete darkness. And complete darkness was when predators hunted. Lions, leopards, hyenas, all apex predators that hunt primarily at night. For hundreds of thousands of years, the humans who felt anxious when it got dark, who stayed alert, who didn't wander off alone, who slept in groups and kept fires burning, those humans survived. The ones who felt completely relaxed in complete darkness, they became someone else's dinner. Your fear of the dark is not a glitch. It is a survival trait that was actively selected for across hundreds of thousands of years of human evolution. You are afraid of the dark because your ancestors who were afraid of the dark lived long enough to become your ancestors. That's not a weakness. That's inheritance. Here's something most people don't think about. Humans are overwhelmingly visual creatures. Roughly 80% of the information your brain processes about the world comes through your eyes. Your entire threat detection system is built around what you can see. So what happens when you take that away? The brain doesn't relax. It escalates. When vision disappears, the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, immediately shifts into a heightened state. It starts pulling harder on your other senses. Every sound becomes louder. Every sensation on your skin becomes more significant. That creak in the hallway that you'd ignore in daylight? At night, your brain tags it as a potential threat and routes it straight to your fear response. Psychologists call this sensory compensation, and it's completely automatic. You don't decide to become more sensitive to sounds in the dark. Your brain does it for you, without asking permission, because it's trying to compensate for the loss of the one sense it depends on most. In the dark, your brain is flying blind, and it knows it. Now here's the one that will feel familiar. The dark doesn't just remove information, it creates a vacuum, and your brain fills that vacuum immediately. With what? With whatever your threat detection system considers most likely to be dangerous. This is why children imagine monsters under the bed, and why adults, who know rationally there are no monsters, still feel something uncomfortable when they can't see the corners of the room. The brain isn't seeing monsters. It's doing something more sophisticated and more unsettling. It's generating possible threats to prepare for, because in complete darkness, it has no data to work with. Neuroscientists call this predictive processing. Your brain is constantly running models of what's out there. In daylight, those models are corrected by visual input. In darkness, there's no correction, so the model defaults to worst case. It's the same mechanism that makes you jump at shadows. Your brain committed to a threat interpretation before it had enough information to confirm or deny it. Better to flinch at nothing than to not flinch at a predator. That's the calculation your brain is running every single time the lights go out. Here's something that might surprise you. Fear of the dark tends to peak not at sunset, but in the middle of the night, specifically around 3 to 4 a.m. And there's a reason for that. This is the point in your sleep cycle where you're most likely to experience a partial awakening, a brief surfacing toward consciousness before dropping back into deep sleep. In prehistoric conditions, waking up unexpectedly in the middle of the night meant one thing. Something disturbed you, a sound, a movement, a threat. So your brain responds to these partial awakenings with a rapid threat assessment protocol. It pumps a small burst of cortisol, your stress hormone, to sharpen your senses. It scans the environment. And because it's doing this in complete darkness, it has no visual data to confirm you're safe. The result? An irrational, inexplicable sense of dread at 3 a.m. that has no obvious cause. This is so consistent across human populations that some researchers call it the 3 a.m. cortisol spike. You're not haunted. You're not losing your mind. Your brain just woke up in the dark and did exactly what it was designed to do. One more layer. Your brain's fear of the dark isn't only biological. It's also built from a lifetime of learned associations. Every horror movie you've watched, the monster that appears in the dark, the figure at the end of the hallway, the hand that reaches from under the bed, has been training your brain to associate darkness with threat. Every frightening experience you had as a child in the dark, a nightmare, a power outage, a scary story, left a trace in your amygdala. Psychologists call this fear conditioning. And once a fear response is conditioned, it doesn't disappear when you grow up. It gets layered over with adult rationality, but the original response is still there underneath. This is why knowing intellectually that the dark is safe doesn't fully resolve the discomfort. You're not overriding a thought. You're trying to override a conditioned emotional response that was burned into your nervous system years before your rational mind was fully developed. That's a much harder thing to do. So let's put this together. When the lights go out and you feel something, that response is being produced by 5 separate systems all activating at once, an evolutionary inheritance from ancestors who survived because they were afraid, a brain losing its primary sense and compensating with heightened alert, an imagination filling a sensory vacuum with worst-case predictions, a sleep cycle that was designed to wake you up and check for threats, and a lifetime of conditioning that has reinforced the darkness equals danger connection. None of this is irrational. None of this is childish. And none of this is something you should be embarrassed about, because it's not a personal failing. It's a feature of being human that has been present in every generation of your family going back to the very beginning. The adults who sleep in perfect darkness without any discomfort, they're the statistical anomaly. You're the default. Fear of the dark is ancient. Fear of flying is modern. But both of them come from the same place, a brain that was built to keep you alive, doing its job in a world it wasn't designed for. Next in this series, we're looking at a fear that almost no one talks about openly, the fear of silence. Not quiet, silence. Complete, absolute silence. And the fact that some people find it so disturbing they would rather experience pain than sit alone with nothing to hear. If this video made you feel a little better about reaching for that light switch, share it with someone who does the same thing. And subscribe, because every week we go deeper into the fears, the behaviors, the things about being human that nobody explains, and show you exactly what's happening in the brain that creates them.